Knon 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to knon.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.
Yo, what's up? I'ma kick it with the line, y'all know. Yo, Slim, can I kick it like that? Here we go. Well, it's time to make that change. People of the world today are fading. All of us have our ups and downs. You better think about it or you won't be around. What we need is a little bit of love, sent by one from heaven up above. Chicken from tea is simple and plain. This ain't no game, you know what I'm saying? What? Yep, yeah. Here we go. We are the people who can do it. Oh, yeah. Yo, Mob, kick it for me one time.
What is the world coming to? Seems like everyone is running from the truth. We need to stand up and fight, walk into the light. We're the people, we can do it if we try. I know we can do it. Somebody asked me, why do we have to go through it? It's just to test up our faith.
We'd like to say good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Church Information and Open Forum. I'm Marion Barnett, your host. We each and every Saturday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on Knon 89.3 FM, the voice of the people. All righty, we have an interesting show for you going on this morning. That's going to be hearing from about incumbent judges on the 283rd District Court, and he'll be coming up in just a second. But we have so much going on. Stay tuned for the both hours. We have just so much going on. We hopefully can cover some of these things, a lot of these things that's going on locally and nationally. But I tell you what, let's go on and get right now to it with Judge Rick Magnis. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
All righty. You're running for a re-election in the 283rd District Court.
That's correct.
This is a felony court.
That's correct.
A criminal court.
It's a felony criminal court.
All righty. What does basically the average trial that you would hear would be what type of case?
We hear everything from unauthorized use of a motor vehicle or possession of a controlled substance, or kind of the lower level offenses, all the way up to capital murder.
All the way to capital murder. The court system here in Dallas County, I see that you are a Democrat. Have you always been a Democrat?
I have.
You've always been a Democrat.
I've always been a Democrat, and my parents my father was, and my mother is a Democrat.
All right. Okay. Now, when we say a criminal court, what are the average person in the African American community, when they hear of a judge, hear of a criminal court? I'll just be honest with you, law enforcement, period. We don't see it as a system in many cases, not all, but in many cases we don't see it as a system to protect and to judge. I mean, to protect and serve, but more or less to judge and condemn in many cases, because many times we get the court-appointed attorneys who will not have the amount of revenues and different things to carry on. Even if we're violated, the policeman will not, when he go before the grand jury, he will not be found worthy of going to trial. He'll be no bail. How do you deal with the criminal justice system overall toward the African American community?
Well, first of all, I can't dispute your concerns. I share the same concerns. And really, I believe a lot of it arises out of the so-called war on drugs. That back in the 70s...
You made a statement just then. You said the so-called
war on drugs.
So that you don't really believe there is a true war on drugs.
I don't believe there's an effective war on drugs. I believe that we are prosecuting young men, particularly of color, for possession of small quantities of drugs, which causes them to become convicted felons and thus second-class citizens. And I think
for the rest of their lives.
For the rest of their lives. And I think there's a much better approach. And a lot of the judges that were elected in 2006 and since then have tried to adopt different approaches towards that. We don't want to promulgate the system whereby we take these small, low-level offenders and stigmatize them for the rest of their lives. We're trying to develop rehabilitative services and divert them out of the criminal justice system.
That statement you made is something that I deeply believe in. I don't really believe there's a true war on drugs. There seems to be a war on our community. It seems like that the criminal justice system is set up to take young men, especially, and maybe some young women of color, African Americans, Hispanics. You see them taken and given harsh sentences. Sometimes they're first offenders. And I'll be honest, I don't really believe in drug laws to begin with. I don't like drugs. I wouldn't take drugs. But since they're there, and I think they're heinous, is there any move afoot through this is a county court, any county, a state, federal level that Mike could revisit drug laws? Do you know of anything going on?
Well, we know that Eric Holder is addressing that issue now on a national level, trying to, choosing not to prosecute lower-level drug offenders and trying to put them in diversion programs. And Dallas County actually pioneered in Texas a true drug court diversion program whereby young people with their first drug offense are put into a divert court, which if they complete results in no case being filed at all. So it doesn't even result in a case filed and then dismissed.
Will the young person, will the person will they have this on their record?
No, it'll show an arrest record, but it will not show that they were placed on probation and the case was dismissed. But it will show that they were handled by the police, and that's for the police's purposes, so that they know that this person had a previous contact with the police. But it won't show. It will not show in the divert program, which is currently run by Judge Robert Burns. It will not show that they were placed on probation and there was a subsequent dismissal. It'll show that they were arrested, but no case was ever filed.
Well, when we see how these sentences going on, I don't know how long you've been in Dallas County. I remember guys get caught with one joint used to get 1,000 years and all things like that. 999 years in a day, all foolishness like that. And I don't see where it has improved at all, hardly, for the simple fact I still can pick up my paper and look and see guys, these young people getting all kinds of sentences for an ounce of cocaine, marijuana. No, it's basically crack. And that's such a disparaging sentences between crack cocaine and regular cocaine. I don't see it improving. What's going on?
Well, in the state of Texas, first of all, there is not a distinction between crack cocaine and powder cocaine for legal purposes.
But it seems like there's a difference in the sentencing, though.
There may be, and I really don't have that data. What really concerns me more than those harsh sentences that you've talked about, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but in 1994, the Texas legislature enacted a law which created a new type of felony called a state jail felony. That's the lowest level felony. For a person that's in possession of crack or methamphetamine or heroin in an amount of less than 1 gram, which is a sweet and low package, less than 1 gram, The
1
punishment.
gram is sweet and low. That's
Yeah.
a sweet and low package.
Yeah.
Okay. all
And
right.
so a lot of these cases are 1/10 of a gram. There are a couple of granules from a sweet and low
Barely
package.
traceable.
Yes. Barely measurable. The state jail felony provides for a punishment range of 180 days to 2 years in the state jail. What's happening and what concerns me is often young offenders come in and the plea bargain offer that they receive is, we'll give you the minimum sentence. We'll even reduce the punishment to a misdemeanor and give you time served if you plead guilty and accept a conviction. So you're a young
The
man.
conviction is there.
It's a felony conviction. So you're a young man, 17 years of age, 18 years of age, usually of color. You have a choice. Do I want to take deferred adjudication probation where I can go through 2 or 3 years of probation and get the case dismissed and not be a felon? Or do I want to get out today and be a felon? Now, if you were 17 or 18 years old and you were in active addiction or you had a mental health problem, what choice would you make?
Yeah, and anyway, to a 17-year-old, 3 years is a long time.
It is, and 2 years is the minimum
Yeah.
that the law provides.
Well, that's a long time to a young person.
I
Once
agree.
you lived a lot of years, that doesn't seem like anything.
Yeah, it's not so long for us,
No.
but it is for a young
You got to
person.
say 3 years. Oh,
So,
my God.
so there are several judges that won't accept those plea bargains. We'll say, we understand that the state wants to do this, the defense attorney wants to do this, defendant wants to do this, but it's not in the best interest of the community or the defendant for him to be made a felon at this point in his life and be stigmatized for the rest of his life. We think it's in the best interest not only of the defendant, but of the community, that this person receive rehabilitative services if they need them, and that they have a chance to have the case dismissed.
Wow. Now, do you think it's really, truly, fully explained, or do a young person understand that stigmatization that's on them? He probably will never get a decent job. He can't get a license even to be a barber, beautician, whatever. Just a state license they can't get. Do they understand how they're ostracized? Is that fully explained to young people?
I think sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. And that's where it depends on the lawyer that's appointed to represent that person. Because it's incumbent upon the attorney, whether they're retained or appointed, to explain those issues. Mm-hmm. But still, we're talking about people that are living in the day. I mean, they're living for the day. So it might be fully explained to them, but they may still think, I want to go home. I don't want to be responsible. I don't want to report to a probation officer. So even understanding those things, I'm okay. I can still handle it. And so they make a poor decision.
But what kind of decision would come down to Mr. Ben Wellington that lives there on one of the parkways there in Highland Park? His son, daughter has been caught in the same situation. He has 3 or 4 high-powered lawyers down there, and he and his family standing back with maybe some of his business partners, and the same thing happened to him. What's going to happen in that court?
The case is probably going to be dismissed or reduced to a misdemeanor.
So, what about that scarf that's over Miss Chester's face? Justice is not blind. It might be. It's not colorblind. We do know it sees green.
We have to acknowledge. We as a society have to acknowledge that, and I'm going to use this word on the radio, and I'm probably going to get some blowback. But we have to acknowledge that institutional racism still exists.
No, you won't get any blowback from the average person in my audience. Somebody out there that's not living in this world might want to get it. But answer me, how do we cure this situation? I'm looking for a cure. First of all, tell us, how can we stop getting all police, all of them, from no matter how heinous the crime they commit on a persons of color? How do we get them stopped him from getting no bill? Answer that.
I don't know. As you probably know, the grand jury proceedings are secret. They're conducted without the judge's involvement. The defense attorney cannot be present. The defendant does not have a right to be present. The only people in the grand jury proceedings are the grand jurors and the prosecutor. The judge's role in the grand jury is to select the grand jurors. There are two ways that we select grand jurors, and it may be that we need to be more careful in how we select the grand jury jurors. But
well, is it the way it's done here in Dallas County? I don't know if it's any different in any other counties in Texas. Well, when you're going to serve on a grand jury, you might be off your job, 2-3 months?
yes,
How many working class people, for what we pay in Dallas County, can afford? Now, I'm not trying to make any excuses, but how many people you know that's a working class person can afford to be off work a couple of months or so and serve on a grand jury that really want that?
Reverend, the reality of the situation is that the grand jury usually consists of retired people who are not working.
And who are old. And they're usually white, too.
There's a good mix on the grand jury.
Yeah,
At least the ones I've impaneled.
The ones I've seen, you might get one or two people of color. Sometimes it's a little better, but a lot of times I've seen them all white also.
I don't believe I've impaneled an all-white grand jury.
Okay.
And I'm not saying, I mean,
I have.
there are 16 grand juries impaneled per year.
Mm-hmm.
Each district judge impanels one a year. There are 17 judges, so one judge gets a year off.
Okay.
This was my year off. I will impanel my next.
You haven't seen one this year?
Not this year. I have not impaneled one. I will impanel one next year. But in addition to retired people, we also often have people that are unemployed that volunteer to be on the grand jury because they do get paid the jury service fee.
Right.
So it is an opportunity, but it is a 3-month commitment, and they have to work either 2 or 3 days a week. Mm-hmm. For a long half day. So it is a long commitment. So the average wage earner can't afford to be on the grand jury. So we have the legal ability to compel grand jury service, but we're not going to do that. Mm-hmm. We're not going to make you lose your job and lose your life. Mm-hmm. So the system has some inherent difficulties. I agree with your comment.
Can you think of any way that we could go about selecting a different way of selecting grand jury?
Well, there are 2 legal ways of selecting a grand jury. The one way is for the judges to appoint what are called grand jury commissioners. A judge appoints 3 to 5 grand jury commissioners whose responsibility it is to select 12 grand jurors and 2 alternates who are theoretically...
I tell you what, could you hold that one second?
Sure.
All right, we're up against a short break, and we'll be back with Judge Rick Magnis. And if you have questions or comments, if you have some questions that you're concerned about with Judge Magnis, give us a call, 972-647-1893, 972-647-1893. We'll be right back.
Howdy, this is Don O from the Friday edition of Texas Blues Radio. KNON just celebrated 30 years of broadcasting, and now I'm celebrating my 30 years on KNON. Join us for a KNON benefit Sunday, October 20th with special guests, Larry Lampkin from Fort Worth, Texas. Greg Eisler and the Box Kickers from Austin, Texas. And from Dallas, Jason Elmore and Hoodoo Witch. Admission includes a free barbecue dinner from the Alligator Cafe while it lasts. So get there early. And since it's my party, there will also be cake while it lasts. That's Sunday, October 20th at Port David's Pub, 1313 South Lamar in Dallas. Doors at 4 p.m. Music starts at 4:30 p.m. Tickets available now online at knon.org, at Good Records in Dallas, and Forever Young in Grand Prairie. Tickets cost more at the door, so get your tickets early. Come on out and help me celebrate 30 years on KNON. Your ears will thank you for it. This is a KNON benefit event.
The Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, and familial status. A message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance. The only way to stop housing discrimination is to report it. HUD.gov/fairhousing or 1-800-669-9777. A public service message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
All right, we're back on Church Information and Open Forum. I'm Marion Barnett, your host. And we have with us Judge Rick Magnis this morning. He's running for re-election on the Democratic ticket. He's in court 283, the 283rd District Court. Judge Magnis, you were explaining about juries and jury selections and different things that are going on. How to pick a grand jury other than the way we go. What do we have? Do they go by the driver's license, the grand jury?
Yeah, I'll finish explaining. First of all, jurors in general, whether it's grand jury or petite jury, which is the jury service you're normally called to, are selected by driver's license numbers. Mm-hmm. So all of the listeners out there who think that if they don't register to vote, they won't be called to jury duty, I want you to know that it has nothing to do. Please register to vote. It will not result in you being called to jury duty. If you have a driver's license, you're on the list. The grand juries are selected by two different statutory methods. The judge can select which way it wants to do it. One is, as I was saying, the judge appoints 3 to 5 jury commissioners, who then can pick citizens from Dallas County that represent a broad selection of the citizens of Dallas County. The other way that grand jurors are selected is through the same process that we select petite jurors, which are you're called to jury duty. The practice in Dallas County is the judges go down to the central jury room where you're waiting to be called for a jury. This huge pool, and ask for volunteers from that pool. And that's been the typical way in Dallas County that we get the grand jurors, are people that volunteer from the huge pool, and we'll go down 3, 4, 5 times until we get enough volunteers to select 12 grand jurors and 2 alternates from those. Mm-hmm. We then bring the larger group, which is typically 20 folks, up to our courthouse on an announced day. Mm-hmm. We go through the process and make sure they're all qualified, and then the judge makes the selection of which 14 of that group.
The judge makes a selection?
The judge makes a selection. Once the judge makes the selection, then the grand jury goes down to the grand jury room with the state. The judge never sees him again until the end of the term, when the judge comes down and has a picture taken with him. Okay. The grand jury, which hears cases, hears them with the prosecutor only. And they're secret.
Why?
That's the law. The law.
Why would you think the prosecution is the only somebody? I know it's there to say this. They have enough evidence to take this person to trial, and the person is sitting there, and nobody is pouring out any poison but the prosecutor, and there. It to me, it just seems so unfair. I don't know. Well, the guy doesn't have any way of defending himself, or a lady, or anything.
It's even a little more different than that, because the guy, the defendant, the lady or the guy, is not sitting there, is not present at the grand jury. Typically, the only person present at the grand jury
is his lawyer.
No,
his lawyer is not there.
His lawyer does not have a right to be there, and is typically not there. The only person that is present is the prosecutor, the bailiffs, and the police officer who's testifying or reading a report in the typical grand jury proceedings. And what I've been told anecdotally by people that have served on grand juries and by people that have worked in the grand jury is that in the great majority of the cases, the grand jury follows the recommendation of the prosecutor, which is assigned to that grand jury.
Right. And the prosecutor, quite naturally, say, going to tell him, I have enough evidence to indict this person. Let's take him to trial. And the grand jury just seems to be a rubber stamp on that.
Well, sometimes it's in the best interest for the prosecutor to say, no, don't indict, because I don't have enough evidence, and we don't want to waste money and resources. And I have been told anecdotally, because I've never been present, we don't have any data on it, that there are some times when grand juries do not follow the recommendation of the prosecutor.
Okay. I had never heard of any of those. Okay.
There are some. I'm not saying there are a lot.
They're few and far between.
That's what I've heard, but I don't have the data on that because the proceedings are secret.
Okay. And now, who could change this? Would this have to be a state law, or could the district attorney change this?
Well, the state can change, the legislature can change how grand juries are selected and how the grand jury process works. The district attorney can change what it recommends in each case.
Okay. All right. But when we see one come before your court, I know you can only speak for yourself. What do you take into account the quality of representation people have? I know you know good quality representation when you see it and when you don't see it. How do you see it?
Well, let me preface that by saying that I was a public defender for almost 18 years prior to taking the bench, and I was a darn good one. I was a good defense lawyer, and I believe that everyone has a right to a good defense. And if you read in the newspaper earlier in the week, the reason my opponent decided he wanted to run against me, it was one of the reasons he alleged was because my costs are a little higher than average. Well, it takes money to defend someone adequately. I appoint good attorneys. Sometimes they charge me a little more.
Let me hold you right there. That says right there that our criminal justice system is not fair to the average everyday Joe. You admit that, and you've admitted it earlier. It takes money to have an adequate defense.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I guess it's like everything else in this country. Everything favors the rich.
Well, I can tell you in my court, I insist that the attorneys I appoint do what's necessary to provide an excellent defense. And I will approve the necessary resources to do that. So it's my hope and my goal. I can't say I've achieved it, and I don't know if I ever will, but it is my goal that an indigent defendant receive the same quality defense as a rich defendant.
How many mistrials have been charged against your court since you've been serving?
When you say mistrial?
Yes, where they go back and file for a new trial because of something that was not presented right or withheld.
How many times have I been reversed?
Yes,
I've been reversed 2 times. One time I was reversed for ruling in favor of the state, and one time I was reversed for ruling in favor of the defense.
You were reversed ruling in favor of the defense?
Yes, and I was reversed for ruling.
Was that person retried, or what happened?
That was a case where I granted a motion to suppress the evidence, and the Court of Appeals said that I should not have suppressed the evidence. And the case was sent back to my court But during that period of time, that defendant got in even more trouble and had bigger fish to fry, so that case ended up not really being relevant.
Was the other one tried in your court too?
He plea bargained the new cases and the retrial, the reverse case along with the new cases.
All right. If you'd like to join this conversation, you can join us at 972-647-1893. 972-647-1893 to talk to Judge. Well, since you're running for election, I have to call you Rick Magnis at this point in time. But you are the city judge.
I am Judge Rick Magnis.
Yeah, I know, but there's some type of rule they like to when you're running for re-election. Everybody know you're the sitting judge. All right, let's go to line 4. Bring me on Michael on line 4. All righty. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Rev Barnett.
Fine. How are you this morning?
Oh, dragging, but I'm dragging like a puffer. I'm puffing like a dragon.
Okay.
I know one thing we in the city of Dallas are doing to hold these renegade policemen accountable when there is violations, and we don't see grand juries and the Citizens Police Review Board are synonymous here in the city of Dallas. But a grand jury, the defendant, a citizen, may not bring their attorney. For the Citizens Police Review Board reviewing corrupt police behavior, the policeman doesn't have to show up. Their lawyer shows up with a rubber stamp saying they don't have to face the family of the child they murdered. Mm-hmm. Reverend Al Lipscomb taught me this one down there at City Hall. We need subpoena power on that Citizens Police Review Board so that these grand juries don't get a bunch of false information and start persecuting based on corrupt policemen protecting their brother.
Well, we fought. Well, I do know. I know. I can remember the last 40 years we fought to get subpoena power on those police review boards.
You ain't got it. We're still fighting for it.
Yeah. Well, Dallas County have always harshly and severely pushed against that subpoena power that would bring a lot of renegade policemen into the real world, but they seem to will fight that with tooth and nail. Judge Magnis, what do you think about the review board with subpoena power?
I'm not familiar with the process, so I don't have an opinion at this time.
Well, all right. If the police chief was the fire person, a fire policeman, most likely they get their jobs back. But if you had a review board who would review that whole thing and had subpoena power to subpoena all the records and everything that would uphold, say, the police chief's firing, that would bring an all new look at the whole way that things are done. But that has always been severely fought hard against in Dallas County. We have had problems that people have witnessed policemen shooting people, just shooting them down, and you have several witnesses saying the same thing, and they go down to the court and they get no bill. They go before the grand jury, no bill. There are very few policemen that's ever been really got the book thrown at them here in the city of Dallas. It rarely ever happened, no matter how heinous the crime is. What do you think about that?
I think everyone should be treated equally. I think everyone should have the same due process and should have the same legal rights. So I don't think that just because you're a member of a certain class, whether that means that you're affluent, a police officer, whatever class you are or group you're a member of, that you should be treated any differently than anyone else.
Well, that has not happened. That's not the history of Dallas.
I understand.
Yeah. All right. 972-647-1893 is the number to call. Let's go to who is this? It's a male. Is that Carl? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Good. Carl is on one. All righty. I guess this is a 1. All right. Good morning, Carl. Are you there? Carl, are you there? I guess he's gone. All righty. Let's go to line 2 and say good morning to Ike. All right. Good morning, Ike.
Good morning, Rev Barnett.
Fine. How are you this morning?
Doing great. First of all, I got some comments I'd like to make. I don't want to make it, not waste time. But I want to ask Judge Magnis, who is his opponent? Because I read the article, but who is his opponent that's running against him?
My opponent's name is Justin Lord. He's a prosecutor for the Dallas District Attorney's Office.
All right, that's what I wanted to ask. Because that's what I read the article about some of the things you had implemented, and especially trying to get a speedy trial for these domestic violence cases, so people can be protected and don't get, violated again by the person that violated them. That's a good thing you're doing, because I support Judge Janine Howard, who has this First Friday program where she's trying to help young people stay out of the penitentiary that hasn't committed serious crimes, but they are crimes that's enough to go to the pen, and she's trying to keep them out. And one thing that I had a question about, I heard you talking about the grand jury and the prosecutor only being able to go before the grand jury, but the problem I got with that is when we got so many prosecutors that had hid evidence where a person could have got acquitted, but the same prosecutors are the only one going to a grand jury getting them indicted. And another problem I have with the court system is I experienced a situation where a racial slur was made during a trial, but when you read the trial transcript, it was changed, the wording was changed in the way the remark was made. And my thing is, with all the modern technology and the TV cameras, why don't they film and record every trial so that when you go and review the trial, you can see exactly what happened and not just going based on what a court reporter put in there, which I know it was changed because the lawyer who did the case, his office was in an uproar because the remark was made. But as I said, when we spend $1,300 to get the transcript, the wording was changed. So what do you think about that?
Well, typically, most court reporters use a backup audio recording that they can refer to when they prepare the transcript. They don't keep them indefinitely. It is illegal. It is a criminal offense. It's a violation of their oath to change a record. My court reporter will never change my record, even when I use really bad grammar. She won't fix it for me. So that is, I don't think that happens a lot, and it should never happen. The court reporter should never change the record.
Ike, did you bring this before the court to have this looked at?
Well, like I've been telling people before, and I think the judge this, when it comes down to filing, discrimination cases coming against judges and prosecutors, they got this thing in Dallas, this good old boy system where nobody, I can name a judge right now, that's a judge and a lawyer. I couldn't pay him to look at this. I mean, he just refused to look at it. So it's that good old boy system here when people won't take these cases where you got a legitimate complaint. They won't even look at. I can't even get a lawyer to look at the paperwork. Then when when we went to the appeals court, it was a famous. I'm gonna call his name over the radio because I'm not slandering his name, but a famous lawyer named Kevin Clancy did my son's case. And he told me when we went to the appeals court, he said, those are Republican judges up there. We need to get rid of all of them. And
so even down to just going to court things, it's true. Everything in this world is political.
Well, yeah. The truth of the matter is every sitting judge, every trial judge in Dallas County is a Democrat because they're all elected countywide by Dallas County. So since 2006, when I was first elected, every Democrat has won. However, the Court of Appeals is the Metroplex in general, which includes Collin County and other suburban counties. And every one of those appeals judges in the Court of Appeals in Dallas is a Republican, and every one of the Court of Criminal Appeals judges, which is the highest level for criminal cases, are Republicans in Austin. They're elected statewide.
Well, let me say this. I'm going to let somebody else talk. Now, you made a statement.
I tell you what, put Ike on hold. Let's take a short break. We've gone past that time. And if you'd like to talk to us, 972-647-1893. We'll be right back.
The third annual Knon Halloween Fay Voodoo Party is coming to Port David's Pub on Saturday, October 26th. Doors are at 8 p.m. for an evening of frightening fun with the spooky swamp sounds of JB and the Zydeco Posse. We may not be able to go to Haunted New Orleans for Halloween, but we can recreate the spirits of NOLA here. There will be costume contests with prizes for scariest, most original, and most Cajun. So start digging through your closets and planning your costume now. And even better, we will be celebrating Jim Bro for Monday night's Cajun Zydeco Music Party's birthday. Advance tickets are available at KNON.org and Forever Young Records in Grand Prairie. That's the third annual KNON Halloween Fay Voodoo with JB and the Zydeco Posse, celebrating Jim Bro's birthday with costume contests and more. Saturday night, October 26th at Port David's Pub, located at 1313 South Lamar in Dallas. This is a KNON benefit event.
Want to find out about upcoming events at KNON? Want to see pictures from past events or need information about the station? Then you need to like the official KNON Facebook page. It's easy to find. Just go to facebook.com/KNON893. It's the KNON 89.3 FM station-produced page for Facebook. It's the easiest way to keep up with what's going on here at KNON. Like us and share with your friends today. That's facebook.com/KNON893. Accept no substitutions.
All right, we're back on Church Information and Open Forum. I'm Marion Barnett, your host. Our special guest this morning is Judge Rick Magnis. He's with the 283rd District Court here in Dallas. He's running for re-election. And Judge Magnis has been telling us, I've been getting a lot of information from him this morning. A lot of things that's really in detail I didn't know a lot about a lot of things. If you have more questions and comments, he's got a lot of information to tell you. We bring people on there. We have brought his opponent on there. But to find things out, because you can better address the system when you know more in detail things about it. Let's go back to line 2 and speak, see if Ike is still there. Ike, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, go right ahead, Ike. What were you saying?
My question, not my question, but my comment, I'm going to get off the air for somebody else can have some time, but I heard Judge Mango say that every sitting judge in Dallas is a Democrat. Well, I can't disagree with that, but I understand that the lady who's going to run against Craig Watkins, I think her name is Susan Hawks. I don't want to mispronounce nobody's name, but I see where she stepped down from being a Democrat judge to run against Craig Watkins for district attorney on a Republican ticket. So that makes me question what party are some of these judges. They vice versa. They run Republican for to get in if the Republicans are winning, or they run Democrat if the Democrats are winning. So I'm going to get off and let him address that issue, and God bless and have a good day.
All right. Thank you, Ike. Thank you.
Susan Hawk was originally elected as a Republican. She was elected in 2002, I believe. She was unopposed in 2006 when the Democrats swept Dallas County, so she remained in office. In 2010, she switched from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party.
So she could get elected.
So that she could be reelected.
Yeah.
And then she's resigned, and I believe her resignation is effective tomorrow to run as a Republican. So she's switching back. I can't speak for the other judges. I can only tell you that I was born a Democrat, and I've always been a Democrat, and I wanted to be a judge for a long time, but chose not to run until I believed a Democrat could win, which was in 2006 when I was 49 years old.
All right. All right. You can call us at 972-647-1893. Let's go to line 4 and say good morning to Carl. All righty? See if we can get Carl in. Carl, are you there?
Yes, sir, Reverend Barnett. Good morning to you and your guests.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, you was talking about the being so difficult to convict the police for misconduct in these at the trials. Has the judge ever heard of the term qualified exemption?
Judge Magnis, have you heard of qualified exemption?
In what context?
When they're trying police officers, because the police officers have that, I believe that term, either that law or whatever applied for them, and so it doesn't matter if we have, like they said, 100 people that saw them do something wrong. If they got 2 or 3 that says they did it their way, they're not going to get convicted because of that term qualified exemption. I think the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals gave them that years ago.
I'm not familiar with that concept, so I can't answer that. I don't know.
It was this guy who wrote this book called The Permit, and his son had a permit to carry, concealed carry, and he was still killed by the police. And he wrote about all the things that he had to go through to try to get this police officer convicted. And he was just saying the reason why he didn't get him convicted was because of that term qualified exception. And so, Reverend Barnett, you might want to think about seeing about getting him on the air.
All right.
The permit, and the guy had a permit, and he still got killed by the police.
He had a concealed handgun permit.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, he did. Mm-hmm.
And was killed by the police.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Put him on hold, and I'd like to get that. I'd like to interview this guy because there are many Texans that's carrying concealed handguns. Many Americans now, and I don't know. For some reason, the African American community hadn't caught on to it real strong. Only a handful that has handgun permits, and to me, if other people are carrying them, you should carry them too. My own personal opinion about that. 972-647-1893 is the number to call. Let's talk to James, already on line 3. Alrighty. Good morning, James.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Reverend Barnett. James of Palestine. To you and your guests.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of concerns, but I'll put in as many as I can. On the jury, and what I was concerned about is volunteers for the grand jury pool. Now, when they're selecting the judge makes the selection of the 12 plus 2. What criteria is he using, and what are the qualifications to make sure there's no bias, racism, or anything in it that would play favorable towards the prosecution and rather than against the suspect or the defender?
Good question.
The criteria I use when I make the final selection is I try and get as broad a racial and economic cross-section of the county as I can.
Do you listen to, do you ask these people questions?
I don't. I ask them some questions, but we don't get into an in-depth conversation.
So you don't know, you don't have any idea of the basic philosophical views about anything about these people when you select them?
Not as much as I should.
Why is that a process you have only so much time, or you just don't have to, so you don't do it?
Well,
why?
The biggest problem is trying to get them, trying to get a pool of 20 people that are going to agree to give up 3 months of their life.
Yeah, well, that goes back to that whole thing. I think it's so unfair the way juries, these grand jurors and jurors are selected, and basically, I know the state of Texas or Dallas County don't want to pay anymore, but if you got to get up and go to work and your boss is threatening to fire you, different things, if you miss 2 or 3 days off, and then in this case, it could be 2 or 3 months.
It's 3 months.
To serve on a grand jury, you know you won't have a job, and you got a mortgage, you got a family, everything else, and to me, it's just could be such a different system set up, and then go through all of this, and then all you're doing is rubber stamping what the prosecutor wants. To me, this whole system is messed up here in the state of Texas. Do you know if most states are like this?
I don't know.
Texas is the only state you've worked in law.
That's correct.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, I did I was originally licensed in Oklahoma, but only practiced there for a few years. And I did not practice criminal law.
Okay. All right, James.
I got another one. How long are these grand juries allowed to serve in that position? How often do they rotate them or get them out of there? The reason my concern is here in Anderson County, we have people that serve on the grand jury, and I think some of them have criminal background. They've been let off on cases where they have done some violent crimes and so forth. And we have these judges, the DA and all of them, letting them stay in there and serve. And they are actually convicting or getting people, these people know these people personally, and they're probably using that against them. That's why I asked that first question. So how long are these people able to serve, stay in there?
He said 3 months, right?
It's they can serve for 3 months. The service can be extended, but it's rarely extended. And then they can't serve again for a year. So they have to wait a year after they've served to serve on the grand jury again.
So you can serve every year if you want to.
Yeah.
We need somebody to monitor that and notice those names on there, Rev Barnett, and notice what walk of life these people come from and what professions, and all of that need to be like a federal background check on anybody that serve as a juror and as a grand jury, because here in Palestine, Anderson County, we have people that have died in the Anderson County jail here, and each time I notice in the newspaper, I keep up all the clippings. The sheriff would always say, no foul play, even before the autopsy. And then on one paper, they would report no signs of foul play, but that's after the no foul play. So this guy is playing on the words here in the newspaper. They all work together, and that was a case recently. I'm trying to monitor that right now. There was a young man died in their jail, and they say he's a fly-by-night, and they still not give this guy his medication or anything. They didn't contact the family. And they did an autopsy on him without getting the family's permission or contacting the family or anything. And they had all the information they needed to contact the family. This is the kind of stuff going on down here.
Great.
That ties into the DA, the grand jury, and the sheriff department.
I hate to hear that, but thank you, James.
Thank you so much, Rev Barnett.
Okay.
Keep up the great work you're doing.
All right. Let's go to Ezra on line 1. Good morning, Ezra.
Good morning, Rev Barnett. How you doing?
Fine. You all right?
You're doing a great job, but I have a question for the judge. He said during the process of the grand jury indicting somebody, no one is allowed in the room but the prosecutor. I want to know his personal feelings toward it. Does he think that's fair, although it might be legal? Does he think that's fair? And if he thinks it's not fair, what is he doing to change it?
All right, Ezra.
Well, you put me in a difficult position because
that's not a difficult position. I want you to know your personal feelings toward that. And if you think it's unfair, what are you doing to change the law since you are a judge and you know it's unfair?
Well, and if the issue is that judges enforce the laws. We don't write the laws.
Okay, I know you don't write the law, but I'm saying you can put forth an effort to change the law. So are you putting forth an effort to change the law since you know it's unfair?
I am not working on changing the law regarding the grand jury.
He has a good question.
You know it's not right. You going along with it.
You as a judge, you have influence. I know you're not a legislator. There are letters you could write to legislators, senators, state legislators, even to the governor. You can come together with other judges who may have the same feeling. Since Dallas County don't have any Republican judges, you fellas, you Democrats, but now, are you Democrats in name only, true Democrats?
The Code of Judicial Ethics prohibits us from engaging in political activity.
That's not prohibited. You know it's wrong, but yet you ain't doing nothing about it.
It takes politics to some political movements. That would have to go through the state legislature, and you'd have to have a governor, which we don't, that would sign something like that. I feel your pain, Ezra, and I'm just like you. I feel like this criminal justice system is so unfair in Dallas County and in the state of Texas, maybe across the whole nation, that it's utterly, the deck is stacked against us. They said, don't play the race card, but they give you a race deck. And it's stacked against us.
Let me tell you.
Well, I'm gonna hang up on my point there.
All right. Well, let me tell the listeners what will happen if I engage in political discussion and violate the Code of Judicial Ethics, and someone who doesn't like me files a grievance against me with the Code of Judicial Conduct with the Ethics Commission. I will be called to a hearing in front of a bunch of people on the Judicial Ethics Commission in Austin, almost all of whom were appointed by Governor Rick Perry.
Which are Republicans.
And they will have the power to remove me. So that's the position I'm in. What I can do is I can make rulings on individual cases and try to make sure that those rulings are fair and people are treated equally.
What percentage of the people in your court that are found guilty that you feel in your heart, your gut feeling, you don't know, your gut feeling was found they were really innocent, you felt that, but they were found guilty? How many? What percentage? You have any idea?
I have no idea, but not many. I think the system usually works on guilt, innocence. I think the real issues that we've had is disparate sentencing.
All right. Thank you. Thank all of you for listening. This is the first hour of Church Information Open Forum. Our special guest this morning was Judge Rick Magnis of the 283rd District Court here in Dallas County. Thank you, Judge. Thank you for being a part of the program. Those of you who are on the line, I'm sorry we could not get to your calls, but we'll be coming back for the second hour. If you want to hang on, we will take your calls when we come back. But we'd like to thank you, Judge, for being a part of Church Information Open Forum.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We're going into our second hour in just a moment, but we'll talk to you in a few. All right.
You are listening to Knon 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
J.P. Morgan was recently socked in the wallet by financial regulators who levied a fine of nearly $1 billion against the Wall Street baron for massive illegalities. Well, not a fine against John Pierpont Morgan, the man. This 19th century robber baron was born to a great banking fortune and, by hook and crook, leveraged it to become the king of American finance. During the Gilded Age, Morgan cornered the U.S. financial markets, gained monopoly ownership of railroads, amassed a vast supply of the nation's gold, and used his investment power to create U.S. Steel and take control of that market. From his earliest days in high finance, Morgan was a hustler who often traded on the shady side. In the Civil War, for example, his family bought his way out of military duty, but he saw another way to serve. Himself, that is. Morgan bought defective rifles for $5 each and sold them to the Union Army for a hefty profit. Rifles blew up in soldiers' faces, but Morgan pleaded ignorance, and government investigators graciously absolved the young, wealthy, well-connected financier of any fault. That seems to have set a pattern for his lifetime of antitrust violations, union busting, and other over-the-edge profiteering practices. He drew numerous official charges, but, of course, he never did any jail time. Moving the clock forward, we come to J.P. Morgan Chase, today's financial powerhouse bearing J.P.'s name. The bank also inherited his pattern of committing multiple illegalities and walking away scot-free. Oh, sure, the bank was hit with that big fine, but not a single one of the top bankers who committed gross wrongdoing were charged or even fired, much less sent to jail. This is Jim Hightower saying the lesson we need to learn is that banks don't commit crimes. Bankers do, and they won't ever stop if they don't have to pay for their crimes.
Yo, what's up? I'ma kick it with the line, y'all know. Yo, Slim, can I kick it like this? Here we go. Well, it's time to make that change. People of the world today are fading. All of us have our ups and downs. You better think about it or you won't be around. What we need is a little bit of love, sent by one from heaven up above. Take it from T, it's simple and plain. This ain't no game, you know what I'm saying? What? Yep, yep. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Yo, Mob, kick it for me one time.
What is the world coming to?
All right, we are back on hour number 2 on Church Information and Open Forum. I'm Marion Barnett, your host. We here in the studio producing, and I like for my producers, y'all introduce yourself. Let them hear your voice. Let them know I'm not in here by myself. Introduce yourself.
You don't want them to think you're in here by yourself?
Yeah.
Where am I? Am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
And I'm the producer, right?
Yes.
All right, I'm Nil. I'm the new traffic and production for KNON. So I'm here on Saturdays hanging out with Rev Barnett.
All righty. And also Doc, he's on the phone. And Doc Dockery is here. And you can call us at 972-647-1893. 972-647-1893. What's the green light we have? Let's see if Malcolm is still on the line. We didn't get a chance to get to him. What line? Line 2. All right. Malcolm, are you still there?
Yes, I am. I'm still here.
All right. Go right ahead, Malcolm.
Well,
how are you this morning? To begin with?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Fine.
I was calling about the grand jury system. I don't know if you finished with that. If you are, then I'll just hang up. But,
go right ahead, because you called. You've been hanging on a long time. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, the reason why I was calling, I am an attorney, but I don't practice criminal law. I practice civil law. Mm-hmm. But I've served on 2 grand juries. The first grand jury was a few years ago, because it's in the old before Lou Sterrett, I think. I served 6 months on that grand jury, so that was 2 terms. Mm-hmm. And then I served on a grand jury 3 months in the Lou Sterrett. And at the time, Dallas County was all Republican, so there was all Republican judges during that time. The grand jury system and the grand jury proceedings are secret. And as an attorney serving on a grand jury, it kind of gives you a little bit more insight. There was 2 attorneys on both grand juries, and one was the foreman, and I was the assistant foreman on both grand juries. Mm-hmm. The grand jury system, as I understand it, in Dallas County and in the state of Texas, is really a check and balance and oversight on the prosecution, and to actually filter out those criminal cases which do not merit taking up time and cost for trial. Mm-hmm. That's in theory the way I understand it's supposed to work. Therefore, the prosecution is the only one that presents any type of evidence as probable cause, and they can present certain witnesses, and victims can come and testify before the grand jury and the police officers who made the necessary arrest. There are situations in which the defendant may be allowed to make a presentation before the grand jury, but the attorney is not there. So I presume it's not advisable for a defendant to go before a grand jury without an attorney being there. Mm-hmm. The defense attorney cannot appear before the grand jury. But let me just say this: the grand juries, again, I served on 3-day grand juries on both times. It is a very extensive and substantial time commitment and sacrifice. And as an attorney, not being able to charge for all that was strictly contribution.
Can the everyday working man serve on a grand jury?
Very, very difficult. And the grand juries I served on, the persons were all retired for the most part, or they were top executives, senior executives in certain corporations or businesses, where they could commit that type of time. But grand jury panels take on group dynamics, and they take on a characterization in and of themselves. And therefore, you have certain grand juries that may provide greater oversight on the prosecution and the police, and certain that just rubber stamp because they think whatever the police does, there's nothing wrong with it. And so the problem is that it takes 9 votes on a grand jury to indict someone. And
You've got 12 people there, but it takes 9 to indict, right?
Take 9 to indict.
Uh-huh.
And if a person is no bill by one grand jury panel, they can take the case and present it to another grand jury.
Is that right?
That's my understanding.
Oh, see, you can have double jeopardy, triple on grand jury.
Well, I'm not going to say double jeopardy because that's a criminal. And you have to get the lawyers who practice criminal law to the judge. He could have responded to that aspect of it. But my understanding is that they can, if you get no bill on one panel, they can take it to another panel. And the prosecution, they size up the panels after they've been sitting for a while. They have an idea of who's going to rubber stamp and who's going to provide greater questions. So I believe they selectively submit cases to various grand jury panels based upon how they anticipate they would want the outcome to be.
Well, that's what I believe too, because when we look at this, Malcolm, and I'm gonna let you go. When we see, you said most of them are senior citizens, right? They're retirees, right?
That's correct.
You say they, or else they might be executives with certain companies or different things, or own their own businesses. What I'm looking at is older people who tend to be conservative. Would you not say?
Yes, and there were some African Americans on both of the juries, and some of them were older, and some of them were just as conservative as some of the white persons that were on the jury.
So if a young man, young lady get up there with a lot of tattoos on and, not talking the same language that they're talking, do you feel like that really, really works against them with older conservative people sitting there watching them and judging them?
Well, no question. My experience has been that the older conservative persons normally feel that the police are in the right.
Right.
There's presumption that the police
is
are
always
doing the right. And there's presumption that the defendant is doing something wrong, otherwise the police would not charge them. So you start out with that type of factual de facto presumption that exists on a lot of grand jury panels. So therefore, when the police come in there and present the case against defendant A, then they feel that defendant A has done something wrong.
Yeah.
And if defendant A come in there and try to argue that, yes, they're going to size up this person to see his or her ability to articulate and the appearance and all that, and to try in their mind to overcome what the presumption is in their mind. So
generation gaps are really strong in a grand jury system, right?
Big generation gap, socioeconomic gaps, political gaps, philosophical gaps, all that exists in grand jury. And as the judge say, the difficulty that the judges have is finding the 12 or 14 people who are going to commit 3 months of their life, 3 days or 2 days a week, and you're down there from about 8 in the morning to about 2 in the afternoon. It's supposed to be a half day, but you end up being almost a whole day. And they have something like 80-some cases that may appear during that day.
My goodness. All right, thank you, Malcolm. I'm going to have to get you on because you have a lot of good information. I like that because I was brought this by one of my producers, Doc, and we're going to have to work at, really, we need to work at trying to get this grand jury system changed here. I know it'll be next to impossible, but it never will change if we don't ever try to change it. All right. Thank you, Malcolm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right, that clears the line. 972-647-1893. 972-647-1893. Let's go to line 3 and say good morning to Al. All righty. Good morning, Al.
Hey, Rev, how you doing this morning?
Fine. You doing all right?
Yes, sir. This is not about the grand jury. This is about the CHLs.
Okay. Go right ahead.
And Rev, what a lot of people of color don't know, you got your license, but there's a organization out there called the National Rifle Association.
Mm-hmm.
I would admonish every person of color. This is one of the most powerful, good old boy networks. If you get into trouble with your CHL, they will provide you lawyers. You're not out of pocket money. And if I'm not mistaken, they might have went up on the fees. It's $150 or $175 a year. I would admonish anybody within the sound of this to join it.
Mm-hmm. The National Rifles Association.
Yes.
But now, I wonder what would go wrong if a policeman would kill someone who has a concealed handgun license. What is it? They had not shown their license or let that person know. I mean, let the policeman know that I have this concealed handgun. There are certain rules with the license that you have to follow, correct?
Exactly. If you get pulled over, when they ask for your driver's license, without even them asking, you show your CHL license at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would suggest now, and a lot of people, some agree, some disagree, but if it's all possible, everyone should have one. Because it's too many people walking around with weapons now. It's terrible. Every time I turn around, I hear people jogging, I say on the Katy Trail or somewhere. They're out jogging and being attacked and different things like that. Especially women, well, men too, but it's something that I really believe that's needed in today's society. I don't like guns, I'm against it, but we seem to have entered into the Wild Wild West era. So, in Rome, you have to do as the Romans do. But I thank you for that information.
All right, Rev, and one more thing before you go. Mm-hmm. Up on this election for governor of Texas, I would like to see us put in the same energy to put this little lady, I think her name is Wendy.
Yeah, come on, I have a female. I know she'd know her name. These women ain't got Wendy Davis.
Yes.
You pro Wendy. You're pro Wendy Davis.
I'm just for cleaning up Austin.
You think Wendy would have a shot at? But we'd have to elect state senators and state legislators. We'd have to elect some people to go in. So you just can't put a person at the top. We have to get us some help. The same thing happened to us in 2010 with Obama. We let the Tea Party get in, and they have wrecked it. They've shut the whole country down. They're shutting everything down. So we were going to talk about that. If we get a chance to get around to it, we're going to talk about it, that these fellas are really ready to destroy the United States because they hate this man so much they want to destroy his legacy. They're really ready to pull the whole country down, and if we don't be careful, they're going to do it. So you are pro Wendy Davis.
I am pro Wendy Davis, and also, Rep, these nuts down in Austin, they are not going to let their children go to Afghanistan or to the Middle East.
Mm.
Okay.
Oh,
Rep,
those are poor kids. Those are poor kids now.
Yeah, but still, Rep, that's I guess you call it double standard. You're not going to send my kids over there and you're going to sit here and raise Cain at home.
Back to that concealed handgun. To me, we are allowing a double standard and perpetrating that on ourselves by not getting them, because when I looked at the numbers of people in the ethnic breakdowns who have concealed handguns, oh my God, we as African American people, we don't have them.
We don't.
But the ones who do have them, they don't have a license for them. if you want to protect your home and protect yourself, you need to get a concealed handgun license.
Well,
All
I'm
right.
glad you said that, preacher. If
All
you
right.
remember back in North Park, there was a little white lady got shot by some black dude, and about 2 or 3 weeks later, Perry and them passed a law where you don't really have to go get a CHL. You can pack your heater in your car if you're going back and forth to work.
Okay.
Now, if that had been reversed, that law would not have been passed, but it just happens to be she was Caucasian, got shot by a black dude in the parking lot out at North Park, and 2 or 3 weeks later, boom, they passed that law. I'm gone, preacher.
All righty. Thank you. Thank you for your information. All right. Take clears the line. 972-647-1893. 972-647-1893. Did we ever get Reverend Wright on one? Let's see if Reverend Wright. Reb, are you there?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning. How are you?
I am good. First of all, let me just say, I got interested in the show a couple of first hour. I want to just briefly get on that, then give you an update on what's taking place on the last past week. First of all, I want to thank God for you and your show, because, Pastor, we don't have the media on our side. We don't have newspapers that print stories out to educate our people. So if it's not for your show, we're going to be in a whole world of trouble, because the black newspapers that we have are jokes.
Yeah. You can say that again.
We can't get the media, our own newspapers, to do anything towards educating our people. Now, with that being said, I want to just briefly add on a while back under Craig Watkins, we had to investigate the grand jury hearing because it was a good old boy system. They picked all of those older rich folk and folks on the grand jury because they had influence over them. If the prosecutor wanted to indict them, all they did was look right at them and they were automatically indicted. So it wasn't like they had a chance when you went to a grand jury. So we went in with Terry Moore and disrupted that whole little family because they had a group that they were used to having. They had them 6 months. I know it's supposed to have been 3 months, but whoever they wanted to indict.
Well, he slipped that in and said, well, sometimes they can extend them. And I just heard Malcolm say he didn't serve 3 months. He served 6 months. So these grand juries seem like can have a real long extended time to serve if they're to the liking probably of the prosecution.
It was a good old boy clique. If the prosecutors wanted you indicted, you were automatically indicted. They didn't even have to present a case. You're going to automatically be indicted. But for instance, and the prime example was every time a police officer went before a grand jury, they said these are law officers, and the prosecutor had influence over them. So we had her removed from the district attorney as the head prosecutor. Thank God for Terry Moore, because Terry decided what we were telling her was true, that the prosecutor, the grand jury prosecutor, had a little clique there, and whoever she wanted to be a part of, wanted to indict, they automatically indicted without even giving any testimony. Now, with that being said, let me tell you, this past week we had a grand jury hearing for the man who shot little JD in the mouth.
This is the little 8-year-old boy.
Yes, sir.
And this man shot him.
And when they asked him why did he do it, he said because he wanted to do it.
And they reduced his bail, didn't they?
They reduced it to $1 million. But the fact, and some of the people, Ron Williams and them, wanted to argue that it should have been a hate crime, but the district attorney's office didn't want to fight it as a hate crime.
Wow.
The young lady that they got it in a juvenile. The young lady that's over, she handles all cases where it involves child violations, where you're abusing child abuse. But she's a strong sister, so I'm thinking she's going to end up getting what she wants done. But they didn't want to use this as a hate crime for the simple reason that they
Rep, could you hold 1 second? I'm up against a break because I wanted to hit on this morning too. So I tell you what, we're up against a short break. You can call us at 972-647-1893, and we'll be right back.
Rice and Wheat is located at 4906 Maple Avenue at Medical District in Dallas and offers a variety of Asian fusion dishes from Vietnamese, Thai, and Japanese influences, including pho, spinach pasta, bento boxes, and more, with vegan options available, as well as beer, wine, and sake. Rice and Wheat is family owned. Hours of operation are Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. till 9 p.m. KNON thanks Rice and Wheat for their support.
I started going cold turkey. Well, at least when I'm in the car.
I know I shouldn't do it, but it's so hard to stop. That's why I hide it from myself, so I won't be tempted.
I used to do it all the time. I stopped by locking it in my glove compartment.
My friend used to do it way too much. Now I turn it off when we're in the car.
My solution is simple. I just don't do it.
There are lots of ways to stop yourself and others from texting and driving. How will you stop? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
All right, we're back on Church Information in an Open Forum. I'm Marion Barnett, your host, and you can call us at 972-647-1893, 972-647-1893. Reverend Wright, you're there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
All righty. Now, this white man shot this little black boy, shot him in the face, and I'm told that his face is in Well, not in the best of condition. And they're reducing this clown's bail. I don't care if it was $1 trillion. Shouldn't have a bail.
Yeah, they reduced it to $1 million in Mitchell's court, and we were monitoring it. I expected, because that was a court where a young African American man's bond it was $100,000 on a dog, and I didn't want it to go under $100,000, or it was going to be.
They would reduce his bail on a dog, huh?
Yeah. But let me tell you the shocking part about that is when the police, after he did that, and the district attorney's office doesn't really have all of the information, and they're going to do some investigating, because when we went over, we were told some things that they didn't know about, and so I won't go into them. I'll let them go ahead and do their own work. But when the police caught this man, they said they caught him, they told him to stop, put his hands up on the car. When they walked up on him and found out he had enough ammunition and enough weapons to wipe out that entire apartment complex.
Is that right?
Yes, sir. It's lucky that it wasn't 12 or 13 kids killed, because he had that kind of equipment in his car. At the end of the day, when they find out what that was all about, it's going to be shocking, but it still had nothing to do with this young 8-year-old boy. And when the police stopped him and asked him why did he do it, his response was, because I wanted to.
If that's not hate, there's no such thing.
If that's not hate, there's no such thing. Also,
why did the police chief say they didn't have any evidence to show that this was a hate crime? Why are you making a statement like that?
Not strong enough to indict or prosecute. They used it as a terrorist crime. So they were saying he terrorized the entire apartment complex, which definitionally it could be considered a terrorist crime, because it jeopardized those kids in that apartment complex don't even come back outside anymore. A lot of them don't, because for fear of their lives.
Well, but these basically in there is African American children, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, the man stayed 3 or 4 blocks from the apartment complex, and at the end of the day, we were trying to figure out why was he in the apartment complex in the very first place. And the evidence is probably at the end of the day, it's going to probably be drug related. But what was shocking that
that 8-year-old boy wasn't into any drugs, was he?
Sure he wasn't. No, sir. So here's the shocking part. The maintenance man in that apartment complex saw this man waving a 12-gauge shot, a 14 shotgun, and never called the police. The police was never called.
Oh, my God.
Until 30 minutes later. But now after that, let me skip in right there and get to the next one. On last week, October 3rd, Pastor, David Blair was standing outside of his apartment complex, and the Dallas Police Department rolled up on him and flashed a big old bright light in his eyes, and he said, "Get that light out of my eyes." And they pulled up a little bit and pulled back and said, "What did you say?" And he said, "I said, get that light out of my eyes. I got my own flashlight." David slowly turned around and walked into his house, comes back out. He has a little 3-year-old kid and a fiance in his house, comes back out with his flashlight, and the police immediately start shooting. Shoot at him 12 times. By the grace of God, not one bullet hit him.
They shot at him 12 times.
12 times. By the grace of not one bullet with nobody but God. Not one bullet hit him. He ran back in the house. His fiance was upset. They called 911 and said they're shooting out here. somebody's shooting at me. 911 operator tells us it's the Dallas Police Department, and they want him to go out. They refuse to go out until
no, they told him to go out. And the Dallas Police Department is out there shooting?
Dallas Police out there shooting. He said, I'm not going out until y'all get a sergeant out here. Well, when the sergeant arrives up there, they say, okay, now walk out of the house. Well, he was going out first, and the fiance and the 3-year-old boy said, no, let us go out first. And as they went out, they separated him. They took him and threw him to the ground on the right. He had one hand in the air and the other hand on the phone talking to the 911 operator. They snatched her away from the baby. And when they did it, they bruised the little 3-year-old boy's knees up, bruised him up real good, and threw her on the ground and handcuffed her. At the end of the day, there was no proof that this young man fired any gun at the Dallas police.
And they shot 12 times. They could have killed him easily.
They could have killed him. And here's the sad part. We did a press conference yesterday, and only Channel 11 and Channel 23 showed up. Fox 4 News didn't show up. Channel 8 didn't show up. So, you know, we don't
call them
control
out.
the media.
Call them out. Call them out.
Yeah, call them out. And we don't control the media. Shame on them, because when it comes to us, we don't get our story out, and we don't have a black newspaper or black media to tell our story. Here's a young man that and then the police even said they changed the story 4 times. They even said they heard him say, I got my own flashlight. So why would you shoot a man if he's coming at? First they said it sounds like a gun had been fired. So after they come in, they arrest him. They go to the car. They said, do you have weapons? He said, yeah, I got several guns in there. And every last one of the guns he had were his guns legally. Legally.
That's all right.
None of the guns smelled like they had been fired. All of them were hidden in different places. So all the evidence is going to prove that the guns were never fired or used. They took his gun in his telephone. And so now in arresting him, this is the point I need to tell you about, Pastor. A lot of people don't know, but during the last 7-8 years, during the police shooting, a lot of those police have been Hispanic officers that have shot black men.
Yeah, well, I know this, but I had a show here a couple of weeks ago. So why is it black officers never shoot anybody?
But these 2 Hispanic officers show up. They arrest him. One's a rookie, one's a veteran. When they put him in the back seat of the car, they looked his record up. He had been accused of a crime that's going to be dismissed. Had nothing to do with that. And as the rookie was getting ready to put the seatbelt on him, the veteran told him, "No, get back, I got it." He pulled the seatbelt out and hit him in his jaw when he gets ready, and you can hear him respond. And so we're filing an open record request, and we want a copy of the camera that was on the inside of that police car, and because there was no way he should have assaulted. So we're going to get an assault charge filed on those police officers. They went on it. The next day, the police came right back again, and the mother and the baby was in the report, flashed the light on them again. For what reason, we'll never know other than intimidation. Yesterday, Pastor, I was getting ready to call. We were talking to David. He went to jail, and he was out of jail. We came, so you know, evidently what they accused him of was a lie. He didn't do it because there's no way he would have gotten out.
Not alive.
He came to Justice City, and we talked to him yesterday. Day before yesterday, we talked to him on the phone, and while I was talking, the marshals rolled up on him and said, "You're under arrest for domestic violence." He said, "Man, I just got out of jail. What are y'all talking about?" He said that you had a warrant. Never did tell him who he was. And so they arrested him, and the guy realized that he was talking to us on the phone, and they said, they looked him up. He said, "Man, I don't have anything on that screen. What are y'all arresting me for?" And then one of the guys said, "Who you talking to?" And he let him know it was who he was talking to was us. They immediately snatched the phone and hung the phone up. 3 minutes later, he calls me back and said they let me go, and now they just sit down in front of my house. We found out that whoever was with the DPD sent these marshals to this boy's house to intimidate him. So the press conference yesterday was about these police not only lied about what they did, but now they're trying to intimidate this young man so he don't pursue charges against him.
No, it's sad. Well, we got a lot of work to do, a lot of things. Call me later on today. We got to put something together to deal with this criminal justice system here in Texas, or really in this country, because Eric Holder's doing all he can, but really it starts at home. We have to do something here at home. We can't just wait on the feds to do everything. All right.
You're right. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you for everything that you do.
All right. Thank you. All right. That clears the line. 972-647-1893. Let's go to Eddie on line 2. All righty. Good morning, Eddie.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing good. What I was calling about, I heard when that white guy shot that little kid.
Mm-hmm.
What got me to stir me the most when they charged him first, they said somebody injured your child. But to me, that was aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and attempted murder to me.
Right.
And another thing I wrestle with.
You shot him in the face, so you were sure. I was just aiming at his head.
Yeah. Weapon, but I'm a gun owner. I got it for my, protect for our state. And another thing, I'm going to end with about this dog situation. I know there's a lot of dog lovers on this earth. I know there can't no dog in heaven, but in case if I'm being attacked, because I went to a friend of mine who went to school was killed by some pit bulls. In case I'm being attacked by some pit bulls, and by any means necessary, I lay that dog out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I fear for my life. I lay him out and have pit bull steaks for the night.
Mm-hmm.
What will I be charged with? I'm gonna get off. Bye.
Well, if it's self-defense if you kill a human being, if you're being attacked, and I don't know if Texas have to stand your ground. Maybe you can't stand your ground against a dog. I don't know. We'll have to have a lawyer on to explain that, because you got a lot of people walking around with these pit bulls. They're really not walking the dog. The dog is dragging them. These dogs are so powerful. And sometimes these dogs, if they want to attack, they will attack you. So we'll have to get a lawyer on to explain about these dogs and them attacking people. All right, 972-647-1893 is the number to call. Let's go to line 4 and say good morning to Dr. Edwards. All righty. Good morning, Doc.
Hey, Rev Barnett, how you doing?
Fine. You doing all right this morning?
I'm doing all right this morning. I was just a little perturbed by this Ben Carson guy who compared the Affordable Care Act with slavery. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, hey, and Ben Carson used to be all right. I've talked to him in person. I've had him on this show. It's been some years ago. He's actually been on my show. He was a different man then. I don't know how these right-wing conservatives have gotten to him. He explained that he grew up poor and he had a hard time making it, and when he finally got his head together and became the smartest child in his class, I think he grew up in Detroit or somewhere, he said, the white parents...
Baltimore, I think.
Was it Baltimore? Wherever it was one of the northeast cities.
Northeast city, yeah.
Yeah, and he said the white parents just became disturbed when he became the top student in their class and everything. He's always had everything stacked against him. Now he wants to condemn people that are poor and can't make it. I understand everybody wants to be uplifted, but I could not. I for the sake of me, I don't understand why he'd make such a radical change, because he was talking about how they live off the government. Well, he lived off off the government because where he did most of his practice there in Washington, D.C. area, that hospital gets probably 99 and not 100% of its funds from the government. I really don't understand why Ben Carson went off like that.
Yeah, I was real embarrassed. I mean, we've got 394 years where we've been at the bottom tier of the health system, and as you well know, that all civilized nations have 5 things that they could deem as a right, and that is, food, shelter, transportation, education, and health care. We're the only country, only westernized civilized nation who do not deem health care as a right. You shouldn't even have to argue about that. And here we have a professional man who compares that to slavery. I mean, he needs to bring the data.
Let me explain a little bit more. What Ben Carson said, I forgot. I meant to say it, didn't. He said the Affordable Health Care Act is the worst thing since slavery, and it's just as bad as slavery. To say that people needs to be insured, people need health care, is as bad as slavery, to me, that's utterly ridiculous. How can you fix your mouth to say something? How could he say something like that? You know, to give a person, if you get sick, they say, "Oh, run out to the Parkland and they'll help you." But what if you want preventative health care? What if I go and say, "Hey, I need a health checkup to make sure that if I have something, I can catch it early and don't have to get as sick as I normally would and can get cured." Well, without that Affordable Health Care Act for millions and millions of people, they don't have that option. If you don't have insurance, you can't go to get a health checkup out at Parkland. You only go to Parkland or any of these other hospitals when you are really sick. And a lot of times it's too late then.
A lot of times it's too late, and I was really embarrassed. I challenged him to, bring the data that would prove that, because I'll challenge him at any point, anytime, anywhere. For him to bring his data, I'll bring mine. We're
going to try to get him again. We'll try to get Ben Carson on the show and bring both of y'all on. You both physicians, and y'all basically battle this out. Now, I have my mind made up about Ben Carson. Now, that was one of the most ridiculous statements that I've ever heard. And to come from a physician who was once poor and has made it big in life, now you're going to turn against those people that help push you up, because rich people didn't pull him up. It was those poor aunts and uncles and mothers and all around him that helped encourage him and push him forward. Now he's going to turn on the same people that helped him. You know, how ridiculous can it be? This is why I get so angry, and I have had it out with Armstrong Williams and all of these so-called black conservatives that once they make it, they turn against the very people who helped push them up there, who encouraged them, who spent their own little hard-earned money, sometimes their last dime, trying to help them to go to school. Now they turn against them. How low down and dirty can they be? So, yes, I'm very upset with Ben Carson. A lot of so-called black conservatives that made it and said, we made it, you can make it. No, it's not just that simple.
It's not that simple. Well, I was a little upset about it, and I challenged him. If you can get us both on the show, I will ask him to bring his.
Yeah, well, we're going to try to contact him. I know how to contact him. We're going to try to contact him and get him on. And if he's in the East, by him being an hour early, that helps us a lot, because a lot of my contact shows, really a lot of my top people are in California. When I come on, it's 5 o'clock in the morning in California. So, but we're going to try to contact Ben Carson, because he really toured with me this time.
That was embarrassing, actually.
Very much so. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Rev Barnett.
Right. Thank you, Doc. I tell you what, before we take another call, let's take a break, and you can call me at 972-647-1893, 972-647-1893. We'll be right back.
Howdy, this is Don O from the Friday edition of Texas Blues Radio. KNON just celebrated 30 years of broadcasting, and now I'm celebrating my 30 years on KNON. Join us for a KNON benefit Sunday, October 20th, with special guests, Larry Lampkin from Fort Worth, Texas. Greg Eisler and the Box Kickers from Austin, Texas. And from Dallas, Jason Elmore and Hoodoo Witch. Admission includes a free barbecue dinner from the Alligator Cafe while it lasts. So get there early. And since it's my party, there will also be cake while it lasts. That's Sunday, October 20th at Port David's Pub, 1313 South Lamar in Dallas. Doors at 4 p.m. Music starts at 4:30 p.m. Tickets available now online at knon.org, at Good Records in Dallas, and Forever Young in Grand Prairie. Tickets cost more at the door, so get your tickets early. Come on out and help me celebrate 30 years on KNON. Your ears will thank you for it. This is a KNON benefit event.
The third annual Knon Halloween Fay Voodoo Party is coming to Port David's Pub on Saturday, October 26th. Doors are at 8 p.m. for an evening of frightening fun with the spooky swamp sounds of JB and the Zydeco Posse. We may not be able to go to Haunted New Orleans for Halloween, but we can recreate the spirits of NOLA here. There will be costume contests with prizes for scariest, most original, and most Cajun. So start digging through your closets and planning your costume now. And even better, we will be celebrating Jim Bro from Monday night's Cajun Zydeco Music Party's birthday. Advance tickets are available at KNON.org and Forever Young Records in Grand Prairie. That's the third annual KNON Halloween Fay Voodoo with JB and the Zydeco Posse, celebrating Jim Bro's birthday with costume contests and more. Saturday night, October 26th at Port David's Pub, located at 1313 South Lamar in Dallas. This is a KNON benefit event.
SeniorsNet provides much-needed services to low-income seniors over 60 who are struggling with hunger, health complications, or completing everyday tasks. SeniorsNet has assisted over 4,000 elderly through its ongoing programs so they can live independently in their own homes. Services have included grocery shopping and delivery, handyman services, and lawn care, to name only a few. SeniorsNet, located in Richardson, is operated through the Network of Community Ministries, a 501c3 nonprofit. SeniorsNet is helping seniors remain independent and continue to live with dignity. SeniorsNet phone number is 972-234-8880. Their email is info@thenetwork.org.
All right, we're back on Church Information and Open Forum. I'm Marion Barnett, your host. All righty. 972-647-1893 is the number to call. 972-647-1893. Side note, if you out there, if you have a business and you want to get the word out about how to get your business known, advertisement here at Knon is it's almost a giveaway price. And I invite you to advertise on my show. I have the type of audience that listens, these are people that are working, and these people are concerned about the community. And usually these are the people who will shop with you, cater with you, whatever. So I'd give them a call down here at 828-9500. What is that, 97? Is that still 214-828-9500? Call down here, and you would be shocked to realize how inexpensive it is to advertise on KNON and to get it out. Right now I have thousands of people, just thousands of them listening to me right now. People that get up in the morning, people that are concerned about their community. These are the people that keep this world going round and round. So advertise. And I guarantee you, you'll get a return on your advertisement here on KNON. It is probably the best buy in all of North Texas, maybe the best buy in Texas or America to advertise on KNON. All right, 972-647-1893. Where are we? Who's on line 3? Let's see. Yeah, I see Imani here. Let's go to Imani. All righty. Good morning, Imani.
Hey, I'm just so happy to be alive this morning.
Thank you. How you doing this morning?
Hey, man, I was just reading. We don't read truth. Oh, man,
wait a minute. You're cutting out. I can't understand you. You're cutting out.
I said, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, let me get over by my door. Sometimes these, where I live, it's cut. And sometimes the FBI, somebody might be listening to me because I be doing some work out here. I don't just be one of your call to be heard myself call people, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You have those people just to hear myself on the radio, people. And they have all talk and no action. So I'm working this morning at helping the Pan-African bookstores over there in Connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to tell you, I understand. Commissioner Price told me one time, and I want to say, good morning, Commissioner. I know you're listening, but I'm tired of them too. But they just complain. That's all they do is you got a complaint show. And they don't do no substance. We, I did your thing for you a couple of weeks ago, left my number. I had 3 people. And, good Reverend, I'm sorry. The Reverend called me. I want to tell him I apologize. I lost your number. You can call again at 214-536-9923. But NOI.org is where I'll be next week at Tuskegee Institute. We are tired of talking. We're tired of complaining. And it's time for us to do something. And that's all you got. You got. I call it. You should have to the church information. You could call and say it's a complaint show, because that's all we're doing. We can do better for ourselves if we'll stop complaining so much, Reverend. And that's our problem.
A lot of things start with talk, and then there are a lot of things people will have to be used to you in order to respond. I invited you on. You came. I'm glad you did.
Yes, sir.
To do my show. I think I was in Washington or somewhere. And,
he was in Washington at he was in Washington D.C. at Martin Luther King, the anniversary.
Yeah.
And,
anyway,
a
lot of times people don't respond to you if they're not used to you, and that's their first time hearing you. They a lot of times they don't respond. I can call them. I can say something and ask them to do things. They'll do it because they're used to me. I've been dealing with them for 30 years right here on this station before I was on the other stations. And they respond. But the first time hearing you, a lot of times I find people have to know you and trust you before they'll respond to you. That's just really human nature. Mm-hmm.
Well, Pastor, the last time I saw you and all that mess about the $5, that you just stand up in front of with that sign by yourself.
Well, that was something totally different there, because there were those who was a part of it that things fell apart on the inside with that deal, because now people came. All people responded. There were a lot of people that came and showed up out there. There are a lot of people. But there was sort of an inside deal that caused that to fall apart. It was not the people from the radio listening audience, because the radio listening audience, believe me, they responded. People responded, coming all times of day, different ones. I don't know how many people came out and responded and picketed that store. They responded. Like I say, it takes
for a little while.
It takes
for a little while now.
No.
You were the last man standing. You were the last man standing.
They stopped because of inside disagreements, not because they were not committed. Because many of them were deeply hurt over how it come out, how it came down. Many of the people, all the people respond, but they have to. Our people just have to be used to you and get to know you, although they never met you in person. But once they've heard you over the years on the air and everything, I can make a call for something right now. They'll show up.
Right.
Yeah. But once they get to know you and be a part of you, and they feel like you are a part of them, and they can trust you, they'll show. But I know how you committed. I know the work you did out in Lancaster and the work you done with Annie Casey and doing different things, and you felt dejected. But it's all a matter of trust. I knew you were disappointed. I can't understand you. Can't hear.
I'm on a road. It's not disappointment. I'm not disappointed. It's just the things I have to go through, you know. And I'm not disappointed. I just listen to your show, and I hear a lot of people calling.
Yeah.
And when I'm like Mr. Brother Price. When I called him last time I talked to him, he said they call in, man. They talk and they do this. But when you call them out, like with George Carver, the elementary school in West Dallas, George Washington Carver.
Mm-hmm.
They don't show, man. They don't call. They don't do anything. But they love to hear themselves on the radio. And I'm like MT. MT said this one time. Me and MT don't get along that well, but I appreciate the brother. But they just call and call and call. But I just want to let you know, you were the last man I saw, regardless what happened, out there by yourself. Now, you were just like me.
One of these days, I'm going to sit down and explain to you in detail. I don't do certain things publicly, exactly what went on, okay? And
Well,
I
I'll
explained
see
to
you
you,
in,
it wasn't
Alabama
a
next
listening
week.
audience because they showed up. They showed up, and I was very proud of them. But there were just other circumstances that really killed it. Okay?
But tell you and the family at church, I say I love them, and I'm not doing this for anything but other than my Father, who is the Creator.
All right.
And
Thank
you have a blessed day.
All right. All right. Let's go to line one quickly. Boy, we're running out of time. What is this, Gerald?
Yes.
Good morning, Gerald.
Morning, Brother Barnett.
Good morning.
How you doing? It's glad to be able to hear your voice and may good Lord continue to give you the strength to continue on the good work that you do.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I had want to state I was just this morning got up and just happened to turn on the TV and seeing Brother Carson. I remember when you interviewed him. I'm so taken aback by it. I'm so disturbed by his comments, and he didn't even.
Isn't that sad?
It didn't even seem himself when he was talking to you on the radio. He was so vibrant and eloquent and articulated about the things and the cause and what he went through and whatnot. And here on the TV, he seemed like he was beat down by the slave, the henchman.
I don't understand it because now he did most of his career, just about all of it, was done there at Johns Hopkins University. And then you know Johns Hopkins probably get 100% of their money from the government. And for him to make his living off the dough, government dough, and then turn around and try to crucify people who might have to use the government for something and talk about other people.
He come up during the time that, as Red Fox said, eating cabbage sandwiches. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He come up eating cabbage sandwich.
Yeah. He explained he may almost had everybody calling in crying that day about how poor he was and how what they had to do to sacrifice just to send him to school. And then he turned around and talk about the same type of people, the same people that helped get him over. Then he downs them. How low down and dirty can you be?
Well, I know one thing for certain, too, for sure, karma is a big effect. You know what, Brother Barnett? I'm still a young man. I'm 46, but I remember my dad. He was a wise man, and the thing he say is like, you listen. Anyway, the good Lord don't put nobody here just for themselves. When we are born, we're being put here not only just for ourselves, but also to help others. No person is here standing alone. When you're born, you're being put here to help make this
nobody's
world a
put
better
here
world.
just to suck up everything for themselves. If you're given a gift, much is given, much is required, and we have been given a gift, so all of us required. Something's required of all of us.
Majority of these so-called conservatives, Republican, and wasted Tea Party people, they come along. It's only very few that inherit it. They come along, but they forgot where they came from.
Most of those clowns are voting against themselves. They work.
They voting against themselves.
They work against unions. They work against healthcare, working out things that's really there to help them, and they work against themselves.
But the people got to understand. Let me say this here: the people got to understand. Our politicians in office, they got loved ones that down in the working trenches like we are. Don't think that they is all omniscient to where their whole family is just doing great. Because they got family members doing
every family have some poor people in it. Every family. All right, thank you for your call. Let's go to line 3 and get our job line in and say good morning to Mr. Greg Barber. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, Rev Barnett.
Fine. How are you this morning?
Doing fine.
Are there any jobs out there?
There are awesome jobs out here this morning on our SAT job line. That's Solutions and Access Today job line, brought to you every Saturday morning during church information and open forum here on Knon 89.3, the voice of the people. This morning on the job line, we have Dealer Track Technologies is looking for customer service representatives. They're asking you to apply online at www.career.successfactors.com. Once again, that web address is www.career, the number 4.successfactors.com. Equinix is looking for warehouse specialists. They're asking you to apply online at www.equinix.hodesiq.com. Once again, that's Equinix is looking for warehouse specialists. They're asking you to apply online at www.equinix.hodesiq.com. Cashmere Fabrics is looking for warehouse associates. They're asking you to apply in person at 3191 Commonwealth Drive, Dallas, Texas, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Once again, Cashmere Fabrics is looking for warehouse specialists. They're asking you to apply in person at 3191 Commonwealth Drive, Dallas, Texas, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Neiman Marcus is looking for warehouse positions. They're asking you to apply online at www.neimanmarcuscareers.com. Once again, that's Neiman Marcus is looking for warehouse specialists. They're asking you to apply online at www.neimanmarcuscareers.com. Inner Ceramic Marble is looking for warehouse positions. They're asking you to apply in person at 11210 Zodiac Lane, Dallas, Texas, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Once again, that's Inner Ceramic Marble is looking for warehouse positions. They're asking you to apply in person at 11210 Zodiac Lane, Dallas, Texas, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Cardinal Health is looking for a courier delivery driver. They're asking you to apply online at www.cardinalhlthtaleo.net. Once again, Cardinal Health is looking for a courier delivery driver. They're asking you to apply online at www.cardinalhealth.taleo.net. If you are a child-loving, patient, and energetic individual and would like to work in a daycare setting, the number for inquiry is 972-290-4995. Once again, if you are a child-loving, patient, and energetic individual and would like to work in a daycare setting, the number for inquiry is 972-290-4995. If you are a person affected by addiction and needs assistance with your recovery efforts, or an ex-offender trying to make their transition back into mainstream society and need assistance with job searches, the number for inquiry is 214-634-2722. Once again, if you are a person affected by addiction and need assistance with their recovery efforts, or an ex-offender trying to make their transition back into mainstream society and need assistance with job searches, the number for inquiry is 214-634-2722. Today is a good day if you're looking for a job to find one. Let me repeat that. Today is a good day if you're looking for a job to find one. The late, great Bob Marley, Rastafarian, once said, get up for your right. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. And with that, we bring our SAT job line to a close.
All righty. Thank you. We out of time? We got 2 minutes? All right. Just hit a line. Hit any of them. They're all full. Just hit one. See, can we bring somebody up? Anybody there? Yeah, all right. Let's see. Good morning. You on Knon? They don't want to talk. I can hear them breathing. I tell you what, I guess they all thought we were through. All righty. I tell you, we're going to have something. I'll be out at 524 West Beltline this morning after I leave here about 10 o'clock. I'll be over there. All friends want to come by and be with us at 524 West Beltline in DeSoto. You're invited to come by and be with us there this morning. So may the Lord bless you. May he keep you. I'm the senior pastor of Heavenly Lord Church. We're located at Bruton and Masters here in the city of Dallas. Come by and see us. Come by. Looking forward to seeing a lot of my listeners. Y'all come by and see us. Now stay tuned to all the programming here. Coming next is Workers Beat, and they'll show you how that system work against you and the work against unions, things that have propped us up over the years and helped build a great middle class in America. So y'all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye-bye.
KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227 or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.